Okay, you guys, it's time for Candida update number 2. I'm filming this video outside next to my grandma's pole barn, so I apologize for any road noise you might hear or dogs playing in the background. It's not the ideal setup, but it's a beautiful 73-degree day here in Michigan, so yes, I'm going to be outside. So this video is going to be our exactly 1 week update from the day we started the Candida Cleanse. So I'm going to fill you in on what our first week was like, what symptoms we experienced, what awesome recipes we tried, the meals we ate, and how we're both feeling a week into it now. I'm hoping to kind of address any questions you guys might have of what might happen if you go on the cleanse. It's definitely not a miracle cure that works in the first week. It gets worse before it gets better. But we had some awesome results from our first week also, so I'm going to talk about those. Okay, so what was it like going on the Candida Cleanse for the second time? Well, for me, it was a little easier because I knew what to expect and what to anticipate. For Andrew, it was a little bit rough because every symptom that he felt was new to him. And because you don't feel great on your first week of eliminating sugar and carbs and dairy, it's kind of hard to stick with it because you feel like, if I feel this lousy, is this cleanse actually good for me? Like, is this something I want to stick with? Our first day actually went great. And I think the first day of anything typically goes great. The first day of saying I'm gonna work out usually goes great. The first day of any goal you set is usually fine because who can't do something for one day? So Thursday went off without a hitch. It was fantastic. No issues at all. Thursday night, we got some bad news late at night. Kind of some emotional news that actually kept us up until about 3 a.m. So we went into Friday incredibly sleep deprived and emotionally and physically drained. So as you can imagine, compiling detoxing from sugar with being physically and emotionally drained, it was like the perfect storm, and we felt like complete crap, I would say, Friday through Sunday. It was very difficult not to give in. Like, if you have a tendency to be a stress eater or an emotional eater, or you have a bad day and you just want a glass of wine at the end of the night, that was very difficult. So ideally, I would recommend that you want to choose to do this cleanse at a time in your life where things are somewhat relaxed and stable. But at the same time, the unpredictable happens. And when it happens, it's like, are you going to stick with it? Are you going to roll with it? We could have just postponed the cleanse. That would have been easy enough. We were only 1 day in. But I had all the groceries, all the food, and we felt committed, so we stuck with it. It wasn't easy, but we stuck with it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the symptoms that I experienced, and then Andrew is actually going to join us for part of the video and share his experience. In my first video, I talked about how one of the indicators that I knew I had an overgrowth of Candida was I had a mouthful of ulcers and sores, and I also had oral thrush. Now, I had kind of anticipated that once I started detoxing from sugar, I would get mouth sores, which I know seems like, wait a minute, this whole cleanse is supposed to clear you of mouth sores. But my experience with it last time was that it actually got worse before it got better, and I'm experiencing that now. So even though going on the cleanse this time, I didn't have all the same symptoms I did last year, and I certainly didn't have the severity of symptoms, I was experiencing some mouth tenderness. My mouth was just very sensitive. I ate the wrong thing one day, and I'd have a canker sore. When we started this cleanse and we got rid of sugar, and now you're introducing like more citrus, because lemon and lime are like your only things you can use for flavor, and more tree nuts and all this. Those are all things that can be irritants to a sensitive palate, so I actually did get 3 canker sores in 1 week. I wasn't too discouraged, but it was kind of a lousy side effect. Secondly, I have to address the fact that I just felt completely run down. As I mentioned before, there were outside things that happened that I think contributed greatly to that. But no matter how you slice it, if you Google the side effects of detoxing from sugar, I could have put a check mark after every one, like brain fog, lethargy, irritability, depression, cravings, like you name it. I would crave all these foods that didn't make sense to be craving, but then when I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that's packed with sugar or carbohydrates, and my body's just like, I need sugar, so I'm gonna just run off a list of things in your mind that I know has sugar in it and try and fool you into eating it. Then of course you have the actual like cleansing part, which I think really for me only happens like the first week. It happened last year also, but as you're adjusting to these new foods and you're having so much more fiber and these greens and lean proteins, your digestive system changes too. I equate it all to the cleansing part. That part's over for me. Here we are a week in. I feel I have my energy back. I want to get back to my routine of working out every day. We're working on camper projects. I feel myself. I'm not craving as much sugar as I was all last week. I actually feel content with what I'm eating. My mouth sores are healing up. And now I feel like the worst part is over, and now we can just kind of get into the groove of eating according to the plan. It's dealing with the adjustments to your body that is the challenge. Because whether you think you are not a sugar person or not, there is sugar in everything that we eat, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, go to your spice cabinet and look at the ingredients in your spices. There's sugar in everything we eat. So if you're trying to eliminate sugar entirely, that's a huge adjustment for your body because it's used to intaking sugar. So the first week is rough. Okay, so as you can see, Andrew was doing a project, so he's not really dressed for a video. But Andrew, how would you summarize your week on the Candida Cleanse?
Basically, I did not realize how much I was addicted to sugar and bread, because those are the two things I miss the most.
So what days would you say were the roughest? Was it the beginning? Was it towards the end of the first week? Was it the middle?
Definitely the end of the first week.
I was saying how it's easy to do anything for a couple of days, but when you realize this is now your routine, it's also mental. And like you said, it's not so much not having sugar in the house, it's knowing you can't go out and get it.
Exactly. It's the I can't have that. That kills me. You get like somewhat of a steady headache, and you just seem on edge.
And how about your digestive? Did you experience any issues with that?
Yes, let's just say your body cleanses itself. What helped me survive was the fact that you gotta mix up your lunches. Because anything quick is like a tuna packet, and those get old real fast for me. It's like either a tuna packet or a chicken salad. Though they're two different meats, they taste kind of the same. It gets boring, so just really mixing up lunch helped, especially with my little nutritionist chef here. So I look forward to anything salmon, anything beef.
And when you're having a sweet craving, has there been anything that's helped kind of
yes,
cope with that?
Yogurt, Greek yogurt, chocolate syrup, and just add a variety of nuts. Scoop in a little almond butter, peanut butter in there, and bam. Tastes just not as good as ice cream, but close enough.
So where would you say you're at mentally? Like, what's your mood going into your second week?
I feel more like, okay, 1 week in, let's see if we can get another one in.
Do you feel like this is sustainable for the remainder of the month?
Oh yeah, I think I can do it. You just gotta get over that 1 week hump.
Yep. And have you had any results?
Yes, according to the scale, I've lost 5 pounds, and my little stomach tire that I was trying to get rid of is more of a donut tire instead of a full-size spare.
Great, babe. Thanks for being on with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I hope hearing from Andrew, who is a completely unbiased individual who is obsessed with sugar, kind of helped you to see what it's actually like to go on the Candida Cleanse. Dogs zooming everywhere. Sorry, guys. My personal experience I already shared, but when I weighed myself before the cleanse, I was at like 148.6. This morning when I weighed myself, I was at 143. Just like with the last time I did the cleanse, I slimmed down in my lower abdomen. I suddenly become more regular and I feel more energetic and my stomach's not turning all the time and I don't feel bloated. So I've been trying to share meals that we eat with you guys. It's hard. It's a real commitment to like remember to take pictures and post every day. I think you guys get the basic gist though. We eat a lot of lean protein and a lot of veggies. There's no fruit, and the only really like not even a grain, but it's quinoa That's basically the only thing you get comparable to like rice. And we eat a lot of Greek yogurt that's doctored up with nuts and stevia chocolate syrup, which kind of segues me into what I wanted to talk about artificial sweeteners. So you might think like, oh, I can do Candida because there is like a slew of things available that are made with artificial sweeteners. But if you refer to that book that I shared last week, and I'll post it here again, the Candida Cleanse, there is a portion in that book that advises that you actually steer clear of artificial sweeteners, except for stevia. And what's really interesting about that is that artificial sweeteners, they still shoot your blood sugar levels up. So it's still kind of like fooling your body into thinking it's getting sugar. So you're not actually training your body to reset from sugar because it still thinks that's what it's receiving. It's fake sugar, but it still jacks up your glucose levels. Stevia, on the other hand, does not do that. A bit more limited in what you can find that's made with stevia. I have found a chocolate syrup that has stevia in it that I love to use sparingly, like on my yogurt parfaits. Zevia is a soft drink that is made with stevia, because when I found out initially that I couldn't even have like Diet Pepsi as a treat, that was a real buzzkill for me. But then when I discovered Zevia, that really helped me survive the last time I did the cleanse, because if you're really hankering for something sweet, you can have an ice cold Zevia that tastes just, not just like, but very comparable to like a Mountain Dew. So here's some practical tips for surviving Candida. Here's some issues that you're gonna run into if you run to town to do errands or whatever, or pick up groceries, whatever. Andrew and I, you know, we're frequently of the mindset like, hey, we're in town, let's treat ourselves. Let's go get a Diet Coke in the drive-thru, or let's go to Tropical Smoothie and get a smoothie. Let's, you know, nothing extravagant, but that was just something that we had the option of doing. Well, when you're on Candida, you have to be so choosy of what you eat, and your options are so very limited. I recommend always packing snacks and taking beverages with you when you go to town. I also mapped out restaurants and places that we could go where there was options for us to eat. I view food as like a reward, so for me, telling myself I can't have that just really messes with me. So I like to just plan ahead for potentially feeling that way. So that's why I mapped out places like, okay, if we get hungry and we want something other than what I've packed, we can stop here and we can have this, this, and this. Second tip for surviving the first week of Candida is eat. Eat a lot, actually. You don't want to feel deprived. You're giving up sugar, you're giving up dairy, you're giving up carbohydrates and starches and all that good stuff. So you don't want to feel hungry. So we eat a lot. Every time we were hungry, we would eat, whether it was just like grazing on nuts or celery with almond butter, or a tuna packet, or chicken salad. I make chicken salad with some Greek yogurt and some olive oil and some fresh lemon juice and some spices. Graze. You want to feel full so that your body's like, okay, well, I can't have sugar, but at least I don't feel like I'm starving. It doesn't inhibit you from seeing results. Andrew and I ate a lot and we both lost 5 pounds. Another thing that I would recommend, and this would be a little bit difficult if you're the only one in your family doing the cleanse, but it's also not impossible because I've done it before, but try to limit the cheat food that you have in the house. If you're going on the cleanse but your spouse isn't, and if you have to have chips in the house, is it possible to have a flavor of chips that you're not really a big fan of? Can you put them in a different cupboard, like one that you don't open all the time, so that it's like out of sight, out of mind? The first week is rough, and I have to say, like, if I hadn't purged my house of all the bad stuff, when we experienced that little hiccup in our week, it might have been very easy for me to just kind of cave. So I would recommend eliminating to whatever extent you possibly can the cheat food in your house. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys my top 3 favorite meals: a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner that we had this week, and they were like bomb. Loved them. So we recently discovered how to make cloud bread, which is basically the closest thing you're going to get to bread on the Candida Cleanse, and it's made with eggs, Greek yogurt, and cream of tartar. And it makes like a very fluffy biscuit shaped meringue type texture, sort of flavorless pancake that you can toast and kind of fool yourself into thinking is bread. And this morning I made eggs Benedict with the cloud bread. So it was a piece of cloud bread, some beef bacon, I did a poached egg, I did some fresh avocado, and I made hollandaise. And hollandaise is just egg yolks, butter, and lemon juice, all of which you can have on Candida. Topped it off with some everything bagel seasoning. It was bomb. It was awesome. Absolutely loved it. I try to keep my lunches fairly simple just because I don't feel like it's sustainable to like make 2 dinners a day. So for myself, I love to just make a quick and easy chicken salad and have it with some almond crackers. And you can find almond crackers. I'll put a picture of the kind that I have right here that are perfectly acceptable on the Candida diet. But I use canned chicken breast. It's really easy. A little bit of Greek yogurt, some lemon juice, olive oil, and then you can add salt and pepper. Then my favorite dinner that we had this week would have had to have been the first dinner that we had. First night I made chicken like fajita mix. So it was just bell pepper and onion and chicken and some garlic powder and salt and pepper and some chili powder, whatever you like, some fresh lime juice, some cilantro. Then we had quinoa with some olive oil and fresh lime juice. We made fresh salsa, so you've got tomato and onion and poblano peppers and cilantro and salt and some Greek yogurt like sour cream, and just kind of made like a bowl, like a power bowl. That was amazing. Super refreshing. Very filling, lacked nothing in flavor, so that was awesome. And then like Andrew was telling you, at night, if like when normally someone might be craving like a dish of ice cream or a glass of wine and a piece of chocolate, we have a bowl of Greek yogurt. I personally like to put pistachios and then like a drizzle of that stevia chocolate syrup, maybe some unsweetened coconut flakes. Andrew likes to put pecans and walnuts and almonds and coconut and chocolate sauce. Those are all acceptable. I know it sounds like, wow, you're not struggling at all, you're not suffering, and honestly we're not. The worst part is just that week where your body is like, I guess I'm not gonna have sugar today. But after you get over that and you train yourself to basically crave different things, which does happen in time, you just got to give it time, you will start to crave veggies, and you will start to crave just protein. Your body will realize like, oh, I'm craving sweets, but I can get my sweet fix from something else. Suddenly things that you never recognized as being sweet before are sweet to you. Like the other night I made a meal that had caramelized onions in it, and we sat down to eat it, and Andrew's like, did you add stevia to these onions? And I was like, no. And he's like, they're sweet. I'm like, they're caramelized. He's like, I've never paid attention to that before. And I'm like, well, that's because your palate is so used to detecting sweet only in like straight up sugar, ice cream, chocolate, candy, cookies. So when you have like natural sugar that comes out just like in the cooking process, or sugars that actually are in the food, now you can detect those. So it really does work. You're training your body to recognize sweets in other things, recognize sugar in other things, and it's just a process. It's honestly a process, but it's so worth it in the end. You feel so clean. Like there's just something to be said for almost having like a good conscience, knowing you've not put anything bad in your body. I plan on doing 2 more of these videos on the 3rd week and then finally the last week. If you have specific questions, please DM me. In this video, I just kind of wanted to address how we felt and what our favorite meals were, and a little bit about artificial sweeteners. But other than that, the book is the best reference material, and it has awesome recipes in there too. So I will try to continue to share pictures of my food on my stories that we're eating. And if you want like specific measurements or whatever, just DM me, because I'm not very good about listing specifics. I don't often cook from a cookbook. I just kind of wing it. So, but anyway, I would also love to hear if anyone is actually trying the Candida Cleanse. If these videos have at all made you curious or motivated you to try it, I would love to hear. So, have a great day, you guys.